When the limits of steel are shattered and the soul yearns for destruction, I ascend beyond sword or axe to switch axe. What's up, guys? My name is SnyperSama. Welcome back to another video. Today we're deep diving into the switch axe in Monster Hunter Wilds. Whether you're a veteran looking for what's new or a newcomer trying to master this beast of a weapon, I've got you covered. Today we're going to break down its mechanics, its new moves, its combos, strategies, and everything else. So stick around. Let's get to swinging. Alright, before we go full beast mode with the new stuff, let's talk about what makes Switch Axe such a fan favorite. This weapon isn't just a blade. It's a transforming engine of destruction. You're constantly shifting between two distinct forms, and mastering that rhythm is the key to unlocking its true power. First up, you have Axe Mode. Think of it as your step-up phase. You've got long-reaching swings, great mobility, and the ability to build up your energy safely while keeping monsters in check. It's slick, it's stylish, and it's how you control the flow of the hunt. What happens next, you ask? Sword Mode. You flip the switch. Sword Mode is where the real carnage begins. You're unleashing file-powered strikes that crank your damage through the roof, turning you into a walking, exploding buzzsaw. The best part? The Switch Axe isn't about picking one mode and sticking to it. It's about weaving them together, flowing from one to the other like an unstoppable flurry. Every swap, every slash, every explosion, it all feeds into this beautiful high-speed dance of destruction. So yeah, this isn't just a weapon, it's a lifestyle. And in Monster Hunter Wilds, it's only getting better. Alright, let's get into the bread and butter combos of the Switch. To start, you've got one basic set in Axe Mode. Left click. Overhead slash, side slash, spiral burst, rinse and repeat. Next, Wild Swing combo. You can do this as many times as you want until you see your stamina drain. For example, I can just keep doing this until I decide I want to finish the combo with one of two things. A heavy slam, which will power up the axe gauge as you can see in the top left, or a morph sweep, which transitions me into my sword form. Now, the thing about it is that when you're doing the axe wild swing, it only works after 3 swings. So keep that in mind. Next up, sword mode. For me, it is my mouse button. For you, it might be different. The idea of Switch Axe is that you're going to morph between these two forms to do a bunch of damage. Now you can see that my gauge is full. My switch gauge is the yellow one in the middle of the sword in the top left of my screen. Now I'm in sword mode. With every sword attack, you see that switch gauge go down. So the combos for the sword are as follows. Left click. Left click is overhead, right rising, left rising. That's it. You can see how my switch gauge is now depleted. We're almost at the very end of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to swap back over to an axe mode, and it's going to allow us to build it back up. Just like that. And now I've morphed back into sword mode. Secondary combo for sword mode is double slash into heavenward flurry. The reason that combo is good is it's going to give you the most amount of amp gauge. The way to tell if you have amp gauge is if the edge of your switch gauge sword, the one right below your sharpness bar, is glowing red at the tip like mine currently is. You can also see that it is flared up on my weapon. So now we're going to show you sword mode while amped. You see all the extra file effects and explosions that are coming off? That's what happens when your sword has been amped up. You see how you don't get that in axe mode? The reason for this is because sword mode is where the majority of your damage comes from. So, ideally, combos will look something like this. You'll get a couple wild swings in, you'll morph sweep into your sword, double slash, elemental discharge, and then, for the flashy new move, full release slash. So next up, let's talk focus mode on Switch Axe. So, first up, we're going to go ahead and create a wound. Now that the wound's been created, we have 3 options. Option 1, we destroy the wound in axe mode only. So we do our morph combination, Power Axe Finisher. What Power Axe Finisher does when you get a wound in axe mode only is it charges the axe on your switch gauge. See it, how it is glowing right below my sharpness bar. That increases the amount of energy that we are going to build to get into sword mode. It is going to build our switch gauge, as well as it provides a little bit of extra part break. Next up, let's create another wound. And we're gonna do sword form. What this is doing is this allows you to build up amp gauge, and you get an elemental discharge, and you can follow it up with the new unbridled slash or full release slash if you have enough energy. We'll do my favorite, which is a combination of the two. Little tidbit when you are doing focus mode is that you can swap between modes when you are attacking. Alright, time to understand the switch axe gauges. First up, you got file gauge. The file gauge fills up while in axe mode and powers up sword mode attacks. You want to keep it as full as you can before switching to sword mode for stronger attacks. Next up, switch gauge. The switch gauge tracks how long you can stay in sword mode before automatically switching back to axe mode. You want to watch this gauge to transition back to axe mode before it runs out. Pro tip, do not try to go back into sword mode when the little switch gauge is below the line on your actual weapon icon. If you try to do this, you will reload and at extremely inopportune times. You've been warned. Next up is the amped gauge. The amped gauge powers up your sword mode attacks, making them stronger. The way you get into amped gauge is to do damage in sword mode. Once you've done damage in all of these different forms, you will be maximizing your damage potential. You want to fill the file gauge in axe mode, switch to sword mode to unleash file attacks, and then you want to get amped attacks while managing your switch gauge all at the same time. Next up for the switch axe is the file types. Files are your secret sauce, and in Monster Hunter Wilds, they've got even more impact on your playstyle. First up, you got power files, the goat of raw damage. You get in, you stay in, you blow up everything. Following that, elemental files. They're more viable than ever. If a monster's weak to it, elemental switch axe will ruin its day. You've got poison, you've got exhaust. They're also there, but they're not as strong as some of the others. And who knows, maybe Wilds is hiding a few new file types that we haven't seen yet. Fingers crossed. Alright, here's the big brain strategy. How you're going to play like a pro on Switch X. If you really want to own with Switch X, here's the mindset you got to follow. Stay moving, stay swapping, stay lethal. You're in axe mode, that's your dance floor. Glide around the monster, build that file energy, and never get caught standing still. Now you're in sword mode, that's the mosh pit. Dive in, deal damage, unleash those file explosions, and make every hit count. And with the new Wilds mechanics, you've got even smoother transitions and new options to keep your flow going nonstop. Pro tip, learn to read the monster. When you've got an opening, swap into sword mode. When you need to be dodging, swap into axe mode. The better you swap, the harder you slack. And that's it. That's the power of the Switch Axe. Build your energy, unleash your might, and let those amped attacks carve your name into the hunt. If this helped you unlock your inner hunter, hit like, smash subscribe, and join me as we master every weapon in Monster Hunter Wilds. Got a favorite weapon or secret tech? Drop it in the comments too. Iron sharpens iron after all. Until next time, stay sharp, stay stylish, and I'll see you on the battlefield.